Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm working in animorphia, and it's been a bit neglected, this book, I have to say. But I've turned it over so that I can turn it round a bit, but I might just see how we go. I think I may have to turn it like this because I need to turn the book so it's comfortable for me. So I thought I'd work with my Hydrus by Dr. Martin's PH Hydrus, the gorgeous colours. So I've had them in here for quite a while now, and they're dry, so I've put one drop of everything. If you can see it glistening, you see most of it is dry, but there is one drop. And I've made a cad yellow and a cad red in the bottom corners here, because I only had set one. It's got some really bright colours in it. But they are professional watercolours and they are light fast, so have a look on YouTube for Dr. Martin's Hydrus, because a lot of artists use them and they use them on big canvases and big watercolour paper, so they do some gorgeous vibrant colours. They're fantastic. An example, I've used them in this one here. Really love the colours. My lights are a little bit out, so apologies for that. Just see if I can get a little bit more light. My light in the UK is either so bright it won't do anything, or it's so dull. And we don't seem to have a happy medium. Oopsie, sorry, not the camera. I opened a drawer earlier, that may be why. I just bring the lamp down. That should be better because it's a daylight lamp. Hopefully that should be better. Just very carefully move it out of the way a bit. It has got very dark in here though. Just let me see if I can just turn another light on. That may make a difference. The light changes in the UK. It's really bright sunshine outside now. It was dull this morning, and when the sun shines bright it does funny things. So apologies for that. So I really like these bright colours, and I was mixing the phthalo green and the phthalo blue, and I don't normally like those fake blues and greens. So what I made is I use French ultramarine, and I use cobalt blue, Hansa yellow, which is the very cold one, and gamboge, because I don't have a cad yellow in this set. There's a couple of things that I need to buy, but I bought one set and some odd ones, but I do need to go get a few others. But I like to mix my own colours, so if you wanted to do colour mixing, this would be perfect, because you can just put a drop of each and you know where you're going with that. So I do make my own greens. These are my own greens, but then the kind of what I call fake greens, the phthalo green and the phthalo blues and the teal colours, I like those. Sorry, we have a steely dog. So I quite like the fish. I think I'd like phthalo green and phthalo blue, and then maybe a purples. Not quite sure. So I'm going to have a bit of a. What I could do is look at Mythmorphia, if I could put my hands on it. And again, I'd sometimes do this quite a lot. And I'm going to make a little book of colour notes so that I know this is Hydrus. So I've got a little book that I made, and I've taken it to bits, and when I'm playing with colours I'll put these colours down on it if I'm not sure. If I've done it before, I know they work. So I know if I work with the Hydrus, I always look at these pages because it reminds me that I've got the purple So I know the purple kind of goes with these colours because I've used it here. I think I did another one with the Hydrus. But so that's quite good to know. So it's always good to look back at your colours and your colour books. I think I've done one in here, but I can't remember because I've got short-term memory loss, so apologies. Yes, I've done this one. This is in Hydrus as well. And again, this one is greener than this one. So again, I know that these colours work really well together. I don't think I've done any other than the Hydrus. We'll just have a quick look. In fact, I think I've just changed my mind about the butterfly. I always thought I'd do it in these colours. I think I might do it in Hydrus. But I will probably photocopy this first and have a play. I think I will because it's my favourite page and yet I haven't touched it yet. So I think sometimes it's good to photocopy things and have a play. So I always have a little bit of paper, photocopy paper, because it's easier, and also you can test your colours as well. So I'm working with just a little ink pot, a small pot of water, a baby wipe, and the pot I like is wider, so you're not dipping your brushes in, you're just gently softening them. Because if you're too rough with them, they won't last. And then I just twist to a point, and that gives me the perfect dampness to pick up some colour and give a watercolour effect without using any water. I find a damp baby wipe the best. Kitchen paper's too dry, tissue's too dry, toilet roll's too dry, and a wet cloth gets very wet, but baby wipes seem to be just about perfect. Or face wipes, little packs of face wipes are good. Hand wipes, anything that's just moist rather than dripping wet is very good. So thank you for joining me. I hope everybody's okay. If he's going to get the coffee out, that's fine. Right, I think we've got enough lights now. So apologies about the laptop, it's just playing up a bit, bless it. I might have to take it in for a bit of revamp. So I like the Graduate Daler-Rowney Riggers. I've got a number 1, a number 2 and a number 3. And then my favourite one for really tiny spaces is the Art Master Pearl 5510. I really like that one. It gets to quite a nice tip if you look at the other ones. It's a really nice tip. And you can still get a bit of a watercolour effect. And the reason I've got 3 is I find for bigger spaces I use a bigger brush, but for small spaces I use a smaller brush, and it takes a little while. It's taken me a couple of years to get this watercolouring, which is colouring with watercolours in a colour book on an ordinary page, and you're using a tablespoon of water, but you get the watercolour effect. So you do need a bit of a rigor, and you do need a bit of practice from small spaces to big spaces, because it doesn't always work that you're going to have a big brush and you're going to actually get the colour where you want it. So I would always suggest photocopying it first and having a go. I think I'm going to do the fin first, and I'm going to use the number 1. I think I'll do the fin. Because again, which fish shall I do? Yeah, I'm going to do this one. I think that might be a bit big actually. I might have to do the smallest one. Yeah, so we'll do the smallest one. Now there I was going to go phthalo blue in, or phthalo blue out and phthalo green in, and in the middle we'll have a beautiful soft colour highlight, because that's where the highlight is. If the highlights were at the end and it was dark in the middle, then you'd want to start the phthalo blue and the phthalo green in the middle and then just kind of blend those two together. But because it's the other way around, the idea is that the lightest colour is in the middle. So I need to start here to manipulate the colour, and then I need to start at this side to manipulate it back. That's going to be a bigger brush, but I'm going to do the little one first because I'm not sure. I haven't done this for a while, so I have short-term memory loss, so apologies. I don't always remember what I've done. So thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you're okay and all having a good natter in chat. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to just put a touch of... Did I say green on the outside or blue? I think I'm going to put a touch of phthalo blue. I think I'm going to use the number 1 brush. And you really want the tiniest touch. The tiniest touch. So I'll do this first and then I'll zoom in. So I do it here as a practice because I haven't done it for a while. So what you want to do is you're taking this colour from the darkest, deepest colour to almost white. Oh, sorry, it's flashing out because it's white. So that's basically what I'm doing. And I actually think that brush is too big. So bear with me. Normally 3 brushes is the right size, but it sometimes depends on the brushes. So this one is, I think I might use this one. This is a finer one, but it's a rigger. And this just says Italeri. And I bought them at a model railway show, so I've got a number 1, a number 3, and number 30. And I think it's going to have to be these, because just for this space, it's just a bit small. So I'll zoom in and we can see what I'm doing, hopefully. Sorry about the tapping. The touch has gone on my laptop and it's playing silly sausages. So just the gentlest of touch, hardly any on there at all. And I want to be the other way. So I'll do this one first. And you have to forgive me, I haven't done this for a while. So we've got that screen going up. And if you get too much on the brush, you've had it. In fact, I know what I've done wrong. So I've done this wrong. I'm working from wet and you have to work from dry, so that's what's wrong. So I've sussed it out already what I've done wrong. So this will never do the watercolour effect because it's too wet. The minute I touched it, I've picked up far too much pigment. So I'm a bit cross with myself because it won't work now, but never mind. What I needed to do is to touch it dry. So it's far too bright is this, but never mind, it'll be fine. It's still going to be quite vibrant. It's not going to have a watercolour effect, that's all, but you can't always have everything, can we? So we'll just kind of mush that up into there, and we'll do the same with this one. and then we'll steal a little bit of blue and we'll push that down into the green. So we still get a nice effect, but it's going to be more vibrant. It's going to be that little bit more vibrant. Now one thing you do have to do is you have to dunk your brush every time, and you have to clean it every time to get the right amount of dampness, and that's, otherwise your paintbrush will dry out. So you do have to do this every single time. Yeah, it's a little bit wet, is that? But never mind, it'll still give a nice effect. And we'll have a mixture of that gorgeous phthalo green and phthalo blue. So although it's not perfect, it's going to be quite bright. So apologies for turning it round. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go out with the green, with the blue, and come back with the green. So damp brush, twist on a baby wipe to a point, and touch the blue, phthalo blue. Just the tiniest touch right on the end, but it does take up quite a lot of paint. So this time we'll do this one the other way around, and we'll go down here, and it's only gone halfway. So oopsie, sorry, dunk again. I've brought it out of the way so I'm not in everybody's light. And so you've got to work away from your wrist. You've got to work comfortable away from yourself. And just very carefully. It's very much like the chameleon pens, but you're working backwards. Now these are light fast. They're professional watercolours. They're very highly pigmented. Gorgeous, gorgeous colours. I really carefully turn that round. Now I want to work backwards. Oh, thank you, Kenny, thank you. Well, it works, but you've got to be, you get different effects, wet and dry, and I'd forgotten this, so I do forget things. Apologies, I've got short-term memory loss. And this happened last time, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get the watercolour effect, and that's because I'd used wet colour instead of dry. You do have to dunk your brush every single time, and you get that. You get a little bit of a watercolour effect, but you don't get that really rich colour. And then we get the teal in the middle. We should have a pale teal in the middle. And again, I've just caught that just that bit too much. So, but these are so lovely to play. Well, I say play with, to colour with. That it doesn't really matter. You've got to be a little bit pale though, because we don't want to go through. But I've got a bit of a highlight going on there, so dunk the brush, twist to a point, and then just touch the green. And this is the wet drop of green that I put in earlier. And there's going to be quite a lot of green on this, I think. But it's such a beautiful colour. I don't think it really matters on this page. It is a really nice colour. So you can get some gorgeous, I mean it's a really rich green is that. It's not coming up quite as rich as it is. It's a really nice rich colour. I actually think I want that green tip. I think I just want that green tip. Because underneath it's going to be blue, so I think I want that green tip. But these colours are just wonderful, they really are. So apologies, I'm going to turn that one round. And every time I'm just dropping the brush into the water and then I'm immediately twisting it to a point. So that's a damp brush. And then because it's only damp, you can't mess about. You've got to touch your colour and you've got to go. So I'm putting just the tip into the centre of that puddle. And then I should be able to manipulate that out. So you can get that watercolour effect if you want. But they are just wonderful, especially for colour books. Because, you know, sometimes you can't get these rich cut. Oops, I've put the wrong colour in. Should be blue. Should get away with it though. I've made a teal colour now. But they are so vibrant, these colours. They are so rich. They just are so rich in colours. And again, you've got to dunk every time, because if you don't dunk, you'll get too much colour. So we want that rich blue down there. I like the idea of having that rich blue next to the rich green. But it is the tiniest speck of colour. You don't want to pick up too much. Just the tiniest speck of colour. And then we can work in that position and touch the green one and go backwards. And I'm going to pick a longer one because I don't, just to practice until we get used to this long frond, or fin I should say. So and it's the dampness in the rigger that helps manoeuvre that about a bit. I'm just going to do that one again, which I kind of like this kind of rich green. And of course you've got a very, very bright green and a bright blue, and then you've got everything in between. And then you've got different mixtures at different times, so it turns out to be kind of really, really different. Yes, Kenny, it's very good. All artists do. All artists do, because it's the curve of your wrist. You cannot draw a line like that. You've got to use the natural curve of your wrist. Especially me, because I actually draw with my wrist, because my hands and fingers are done in. So I actually do have to do it that way. So, and you just keep picking a section and think, well, that's going to go up there, then no. And then you pick the next section. And you can either put more green or you can put the same amount of green. And what that does, and just have to keep going because you don't want to, You don't want to, I think, you get a different section, a different colour. You do have to dunk every single time and clean your brush every time, because you are taking the colour to almost water, and we kind of don't want to do that. We've got to have a bit of colour in that. I think that blue might come down a bit more. So when you get it right, you get a lovely blend. Now I've done that twice. I've got a bit of a bobble going on there. So I'm going to do this little one first because I wanted it to be different to the others. And it will be different. It won't be the same. I don't know to go for a bigger brush actually. I might go for a bigger brush. Go for number 3 and touch the blue. That's better. You've got a better flow. You've got to be fairly quick, otherwise you end up with blobs. And we don't want blobs or lines. Oopsie, I must have missed it. I'm going to leave that because I already wetted that once. Got to be a bit careful about oversaturating it because we don't want to bubble our page. Now I've used the other technique without water, just a baby wipe. I was a bit lame in the hotel and I couldn't get out. I couldn't get to the sink. So I was too lame to move. But I had the baby wipes with me, so that's what I used. And it worked really well. But these are very dramatic, bright colours, so they work really well. But you can get the softest highlights if you want. It depends how you work. So sometimes it's better to get the brightest, and then I'm sure that's blue. And then you can work paler rather than pale colours. You can never work darker. If that makes any sense. And again, this is quite therapeutic. You've just got to concentrate on each line, and you just keep going, because when you first look at this page you think, my goodness, but it doesn't take long, and once you start you think, oh, that looks okay really. Now eventually your little pad is going to get so damp that you actually just need to go in the actual pad. Bear with me a second. I want that blue down there. You learn to guess how much colour you've got. So eventually your little brush, your pad, is going to get wet. So if you do this and twist, that's damp enough. In fact, it's probably too damp because it's making this buckle a little bit, but I don't normally work this wet, but it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. because you really need to get that colour up there before it can dry. Really, you do need to move it about a bit. And if you haven't got that quite right, don't panic, just go back in with the blue. If it's dry, get some blue, and I think I'll just put that down there. I think I even might have to go to a bigger brush. I think I'll try the biggest ones I have. And these are the Pro Art 103 series 6. I think it's 6, 4 and 2. I think. I think this might be better. It's very strange. You've just got to kind of practice. And that's one thing that actually I'm out of practice. So it's a little bit wet, is that? So you can just dry it on your hands. And then you touch the green. And then it should... The idea is you need to move it before it dries. And if it's a big space, you can't always get that. So I can start again. Just pull that down there. So you get a really nice continuity. Oh, hi Karen, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Anybody else popping in? Sorry I missed. I got a bit carried away in my book. It is quite addictive, is this this way of working. This is the biggest brush there, so it's going to be the wettest. It's probably a bit too wet now. I just have to... Yeah, if you nip it here, you can nip it and it'll take some of the dampness away instantly. But these two colours seem to go together really well. And again, this is a lot faster than the other way. The other way is a little bit drier. So that should look quite good when we get that. So you have to just keep going, and if you use the same technique, the same colours should hopefully come out. Oh, mind you, I think that might come from here. Oh, so we go purple. And you see it's watercolour because it's moving about. I've got to be a bit careful because we've got a pale stamp up there, so. And I am working a lot wetter than I normally do, but it's okay. I do like these two colours together. Oopsie, I've just gone over my tortoise's nose. And then when you're coming down, well, normally, Mel, it doesn't, but it is today. It is buckled a bit today. I don't normally work this wet. I was going to do it really dry like I did all the others, but it is a bit wetter today. So there is a bit of buckle. Now whether it'll go flat or not, I don't know. But it's only a damp brush. It's only a damp brush. But it is that bit wetter. I'm just thinking about maybe if I squeeze the baby dry again, that might be better. Sometimes if you want that nice effect, but I'm going a bit faster than I normally do. You see, you can get the lines now. That's a little bit drier. Because they are buckling a bit, and they don't normally when you do it that way. It's just when you do it the other way. But I've made a mistake. I haven't done this for a while, so I'd forgotten how to do it really. And I don't normally use such a big brush, but it is a big area, this one. So it is buckling a tiny bit. But normally, when you see the others, they don't, because I don't normally work with such a big brush. This is better. Sometimes it takes you a while to get the technique right, which is another reason to do the colour thing. But if the brush is barely damp, it's a lot easier to use. But again, you can tell instantly if it's too wet. To be honest, I've forgotten how I did this. Not this particular way, the other way. I did Thumper on photocopy paper, the rabbit from the menagerie, and that was really flat. But I used the dried pigments, not the wet. And I'll show you what I mean when I do that. I'll show you why that makes such a difference. You wouldn't think it should, but it actually does. Now that's a it's still quite a decent way to work. It's quite nice, therapeutic. Oh, my laptop's gone again. I don't know why it's doing this. Again, sometimes if you forget or you change your mind and you go over somewhere twice, you're going to get a buckle. That bit's okay. It's just the bit where I've decided. You can tell instantly. Now what you can do is nip the brush. If you nip it one way and then another, you can take a lot of water out. And you haven't disturbed the colour at the end. Oopsie. Yeah, there's a bit of buckle gone on. I think it's because I doubled the middle bit. I don't understand why, but I'm sure I'll remember. But by the time I finish this, I shall have got better. You see, that's a bit too wet. It's always easy to work on an edge. Again, this is a bit too. This is wetter, but So it's coming along. It's coming along. It's halfway there. So again, you've got to just. It's a bit wet. It's a bit wetter than normal, but it's probably because it's drying out. Is the paint's drying out. So just. So even if you're fairly wet, if you keep going and you don't go over something else, you should be okay. But I might put another blob of colour on there. Actually, I think. I do love this phthalo blue though, it's a real nice colour. It's a smooth transition from one colour to the other that I'm trying to get. Oh, welcome back, Suzanne. My coffee maker's gone upstairs. Might go back to this one, see if this works better. It might not, because it's probably died a death, this one. Look, hasn't it? Some of my brushes I've had for a while, so they get a bit tired after a while. So you could work all the greens and then all the blues, or all the blues and all the greens. I don't like that brush either. I'm not doing very well with the brushes today. Oh, do excuse me. Sorry about that. It's always the same. Right. So I'm going to put another drop because I've started working wet, so I've got to carry on because it will be different. It'll change if I don't keep working wet. So I'm just going to put another couple of drops of green out. So I'm using 2 or 3 drops on this page, but that's still not a lot considering how big the page is. I mean, I've still got quite a lot in there. They come in these little bottles, which are half fluid ounces. So you get quite a lot of ink. Sorry, it's not ink, it's watercolour. And they do say they are professional watercolours as well. But they are obviously extremely well pigmented. This is behaving slightly better. Sometimes I'm out of practice, so sometimes it takes a while to get the correct brush. This is looking a bit better. Although I think I did get a little bit too much blue on there. Sometimes if you just get that little bit too much, but it still managed to make itself quite okay. So this is probably the best brush. And again, just it's because it's wet on wet, you just get too much blue. So we have you have to work fairly quickly, which is difficult when you're trying to go around things. This seems to be behaving slightly better. And so when we put the green on there, I do like this vivid green though, I have to say. I like it almost full strength at the ends. And then when it meets the blue, it becomes a nice teal colour. And so if you alternate between green and blue, what you get is they don't always meet in the middle. So there is a bit of variation as you go around. It's not too boring. So it works differently. I've got too much on there as well. You can just tell on the brush. I think my hands are not working particularly brilliant today. But it's a fairly fast and furious way. And the thing is, you can't stop really, because if you stop you lose you definitely lose the momentum of having that nice colour in the middle. And every time you keep going over it, of course, you run the risk of it being too wet. And then when you wet it, it becomes buckled because you've wet it twice, and it doesn't like no pages like to be wet twice. Some of them don't like one, but two sometimes is just a bit too much. So thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope it was okay. Anybody have missed popping in? I'm quite enjoying myself. You do have to concentrate a little bit on this one because it's, again, say fairly fast and furious. Purely because of that nature of getting this nice combination of but this isn't the watercolour effect. This is just playing with these gorgeous colours. Because it's fairly wet is this, and normally you don't use as much colour, but I like these colours. I like these colours on pages like this, where you've got, sorry, I think Alfie's dreaming, where you've got quite a lot of vivid colours that you need. And I should have used the bigger brush for this one, you see. You do eventually remember which brush you should be using, but really touching this twice shouldn't have been an option really, because it will definitely not like it. So I haven't worked this fast for quite a long time. So it's a little bit buckled, but I was using quite a big brush. So if I pan out, you can see just how quick it is. But it does give a really nice effect. And it's dried now. It was the brush. But it does give a gorgeous effect. Didn't quite get to blend up there too much, but I kind of like that. I kind of like that idea. So now we've got the clouds to well, they're smoke clouds, aren't they? Let's have a look what colours we've got. We've obviously got a blue for the blue ocean. Oh, bye, Melody. Have a good nap. So, quite like that. I think the light might be slightly better over there. Sometimes my light changes depending on where it is. But I like the colours. I really like the colours. So the Hydrus are really vibrant. And my little, it actually wants squeezing out now. That's how much water you collect. Sorry, that was Alfie. Alfie's under the desk having doggy dreams. Don't know what he's dreaming about. So I need to find. I might do them brown actually. I think. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. So you don't have to have tons and tons of colours. I'm trying to think what I'm going to do with the clouds, because we're obviously going to have a sea colour. And I never know whether to do both fish the same or do them differently. I don't know. There's absolutely no buckling on this one whatsoever, but I did it very differently, I think. But it's a lot bigger space. So let's have a look. I think I might kind of like a purple colour. I do have a nice purple. I do have a nice purple, so let's just have a look and see. Oh, it's a really nice mottled purple, is this? I think it might have to be the big brush again. So I've kind of got really dark purple. So we kind of want to really get that. The idea is that you don't have any blending marks unless you are on an edge of something, and then it looks fine. Then we can kind of smush that round. Didn't think I expected to do these colours, but I do want to get that purple into there. So I don't normally work this wet, but I thought that purple would look quite nice in that deep colour. So you have to just keep, you still can't be too wet, but you can keep some of that dampness. So thanks for stopping by, everybody. Thank you for watching. I hope everybody's alright. At one time I would have probably done each individual little scale. So let me just have a look on there. Let's see. Oh, bye, May. Sorry, I missed. Bye, bye. Thanks for stopping by. Sorry, my daughter just asked me something. So it's been about an hour. So I hope it looks okay. It's very dramatic compared to what we did earlier, which was kind of really soft. But that's the nature of the colours. The Hydrus are really in your face. That's pastel and that's watercolour. So they're very dramatic, and I kind of like that. Haven't quite got my brushes right yet. It's a bigger space, so maybe I should have done each individual one. But I kind of like the colours, and that's not without doing any colour mixing. I've used them straight from there. Oh, thank you. So that's the end of part 1, and hopefully there'll be part 2 of Dr. Martin's PH Hydrus, professional watercolours in animorphia. And thank you for watching. Oh, thank you guys.